Hi everyone, and thank you for joining us for our Facebook Live event today. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome along a member of our communities team, Jackie. Welcome this afternoon, Jackie.
Hello, hi, good to be here.
So this afternoon, Jackie, what we're coming together to talk about and I guess discuss the festive period. So that's Christmas, Boxing Day, New Year, and I guess all of the days in between. So obviously before the event we had asked for people to submit questions and we have received a couple, which is great. However, for those that are watching, if you do have any questions that you would like us to answer during this event, then please leave these in the comments and I'll obviously try and keep an eye on that. I will have to look away to do that occasionally, but I am keeping an eye out for any questions that come in so we can answer those. So before we get started, Jackie, I'm just wondering whether obviously we can have a bit of a general discussion around kind of Christmas itself. Christmas is obviously a really special time of the year, but for some it can obviously be quite stressful. And I'm wondering whether you might be able to talk through some of that and the reasons why it can be quite stressful for some people.
Yeah, no problem. As you say, it's often a time of fun for people, but it can also bring its challenges. I suppose one of the biggest challenges can be the increase in sensory information at this time of year. Obviously lights are a big thing, you know, it's really nice seeing all the lights, but that can at times be overwhelming if it's too much. So lights are okay in moderation. Again, in events, in the towns, cities, things are just getting busier. And people are moving around with more urgency, and that can be a wee bit difficult for people as well. You've got to sort of process the extra people and the extra noise. Going in and out of shops, temperature changes. It's just a lot to think about, and so it's good to sort of remember to kind of give yourself time to recover from any of those kind of experiences. I'd say the other thing that possibly Christmas can impact with is a change in routines. Whether that's at school, whether it's socially, whether it's at work, all those kind of changes that can happen at this time of year just by, you know, things getting a little bit out of kilter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there can be a lot of change and uncertainty at this time of year. And obviously, you know, I say it's stressful for some. Obviously, you know, how the festive period is experienced by different people can be very different. And I guess that's where some of our questions will come in today, where people are looking for support in various different ways over the festive period. So Jackie, you know, one of the questions that's come in is around kind of obviously the run up to Christmas in school. And obviously, you know, the school kind of day changing slightly in terms of the run up to Christmas. That may also look different in terms of obviously COVID at present, but obviously there's some concerns about that change in routine, like jumper day, Christmas jumper day, for example. And I noticed somebody's already commented on the live stream today to say that obviously the kids have support at school. So just wondering whether you could maybe talk through some of that, Jackie, around kind of school and the run up to Christmas.
Yeah, I think obviously keeping an eye on, if you're a parent or a carer, keeping an eye on what information you get from school in terms of the changes. So as you say, are there extra events being put in place like jumper days? When is Christmas lunch coming? Some children might like that, some might find that really a daunting prospect. And communicating with staff as to, you know, anything that you know that your child is struggling with. So helping staff to be aware of it, and then helping to reassure your child if they've got some questions around what the changes might be. And then again, if you know that they're having a stressful day at school, helping them when they come home. You know, let's sort of think about what makes you feel better once you've experienced a day like that. Is it a quiet space? Is it, you know, going for a walk, you know, doing something on the trampoline, going to the park? So just kind of supporting around and keeping the communication with school going, I think is quite important for that one.
Definitely. I think communication with the school is key at this time of year, especially if there is that change in school routine in the run up to Christmas with events and activities, like you say. And obviously having that time to kind of, I guess, recharge when getting home as well, doing something that they enjoy, whether that be that quiet space or kind of expending some energy if they need to as well. Yeah. Definitely. Mary, I hope that kind of answers some of your question, but if you're looking for more specific advice during the event, please comment again, and we'd be more than happy to answer that. Another question that we received, Jackie, was in relation to family gatherings. Obviously at Christmas, it brings a lot of family together, whether that's kind of immediate family or even extended family. There can be a lot of people that get together in one room, or a space, shall we say, whether that be kind of an outdoor space this year as well. And I guess the question was around how do you make that more manageable for the individual?
Well, I think, again, helping to prepare the young person, or, you know, adult, whoever it is you're looking after, you're supporting, help them to identify, you know, where does the event take place? Who's going to be there? You know, how long are you going to stay? So helping to answer some of the questions and take some of the uncertainty of that event away for them. Is there going to be food? You know, will they have to eat it? You know, helping them to feel sort of safer. One thing that I know that some people have done to support children where they're going to a gathering is to almost give them a job, as it were, a role. So if they're happy to sort of take the food round, it helps them to have a focus without and a purpose. But really, it's about helping the person that you support, thinking about what are their needs, what are their hurdles around those kind of events, and just trying to make it look a little bit smoother for them. And again, just maybe thinking, spreading some of the events out so that if you know you've got an event sort of a couple of days before Christmas, have a quiet time in between that so that your child can, or the person you support is able to recover from whatever that's looked like as well. And maybe rescheduling if need be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, you know, having those quieter days in between is definitely, you know, an option for people, and that's something that we talk about in our Christmas resource that we've actually put together as an advice line team, haven't we, Jackie? So we have put a resource together about preparing for the festive period, and I'm sure a member of the social media team will pop in a link to that through this live event. But it does talk about how to maybe kind of navigate some of those family gatherings and navigate those kind of bigger days during the festive period, like Christmas Day, like New Year and Boxing Day, and I guess those uncertain days in between where actually you haven't got your usual day-to-day routine, and you know, like example, you might have those family gatherings, but actually, you know, school work, for example, isn't happening, which can be quite unsettling for some people when that routine isn't there. So yeah.
No, and I think as well, just you know, if you've got a gathering as well, you can help to prepare, you know, children sometimes with you know, some of the questions that they might be asked. So somebody might ask you about, you know, what do you want for Christmas, or, you know, what did you get for Christmas, and helping to have the answers ready can make that feel more manageable, so that there's a bit of a script for people as well to make it easier.
Yeah, definitely, and you know, those types of questions is quite difficult to answer at times for people. So, you know, talking through that, and, you know, I guess talking to your child, or, you know, son or daughter, and kind of preparing them for that, but also, you know, finding out what they're worried about in terms of that family gathering as well, so you can then scaffold that support around that individual as well, is really important.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, it just helps to make things feel more manageable, doesn't it? And maybe as well, speaking to the people, if you're going to visit someone, helping the people to also kind of be aware that there may be things that the person you're supporting is finding it difficult, and actually perhaps having some of the gatherings at your house rather than it being elsewhere. So again, that young person or the adult has that option to be able to go away if they're finding it difficult, and go back to the space that is safe for them. So it's sort of mixing up the gatherings, so that sometimes it's going to people, but again, having that home session as well, and that feeling a wee bit easier for people to cope with.
And that familiar space that they're kind of familiar with, and like you say, feel safe safe with. You know, that familiar space that they can kind of take themselves to is really important. Sometimes that can be quite difficult to find if you're in another family member's home, for example, or in a different environment. There's not always that space readily available for people.
Exactly, yeah.
Another question that's come in, Jackie, is actually around Christmas parties. Obviously, it is the Christmas party season. Some of them are obviously taking place, I guess, in the traditional manner where people are going out for their Christmas parties, whether it's you know, a proper organised event, or if it's kind of a sit-down meal. Or some of these Christmas parties this year are obviously virtually, like ours, that we'll be having eventually. So obviously, you know, the Christmas party season is starting. And I guess the main question is that, you know, the individual is feeling quite anxious about this, about that Christmas party. And I guess, do we have any advice around that?
Yeah, and I think, you know, Christmas parties can be, or just, you know, social gatherings can be difficult for people anyway. And I suppose when you add in this year, there's still sort of COVID do's and don'ts. So it's you know, there's a little bit of extra pressure there. You know, one thing again, you know, to consider is perhaps if you're going to an event and you're feeling a little bit unsure about it, it's perhaps going with someone else. So having someone go with you so that when you walk into an event, you've got company. And it may be that, you know, you walk in and you don't have to start the conversation. The person you're with can start the conversation. Again, you don't have to stay the whole time that the event's happening. You can think about what you would find manageable, and be okay with that, and let other people know that actually, you know, I'm only going to stay for an hour, and for whatever reason. And also, you know, if say you think actually we're having this event, but I don't really want to go, then maybe you could take something along into this, you know, you know, provide cakes or whatever if your workplace is still happening in person, so that you can still be part of the Christmas festivities.
Definitely. And I think it's obviously working out whether you know, you want to go along to these types of things. It is the kind of the big question, I guess. You know, I guess a lot of people do want to go along to these things, and there's that kind of, I guess, unwritten kind of social expectation that members of your team will attend these things. But actually, you know, if it's something that you feel that actually is just going to be too much, then actually there's nothing wrong to say, actually, I'd prefer not to come along to that Christmas party on this occasion. You know, and I think we were talking about it the other day about, you know, almost writing a pros and cons list around some of this. As our friend Ashley Story mentioned the other day on another Facebook Live event with Charlene. So, you know, it's considering the pros and cons around a Christmas party, and whether it's something that actually you feel you're going to manage and you know, feel that you're going to be able to cope with. And actually, you may only want to stay for half an hour, like you say, and that's absolutely fine.
I think, again, you know, if you do go to these events, again, giving yourself a bit of recovery time afterwards. So if that's a busy evening or afternoon for you, say, right, okay, I'm going to just take a little bit of time for myself now and do something quiet, or whatever it is that helps you to kind of feel, you know, that you're recovering from whatever you've gone through. So factoring those recovery times in is relevant for all of us.
Yeah, all that time to recharge. I think it's important, you know, no matter the circumstances, is that should we look after ourselves during the festive period, having that time for us all to recharge, and for all of us to have that time and space when we need it. I think it can be quite busy if we let it be busy. So actually just taking that time is important for everyone. We've had a comment, Jackie, on the comments from Terry. And she says that that they have pizza on Christmas Day. She said it's not everyone's traditional, but it suits her daughter, who is very uneasy with different textures and tastes. I'm wondering whether, obviously, we can talk a bit about that, because actually that's quite an important one there.
Yeah, no, definitely, and well done, Terry. Absolutely, nothing wrong with that. That's great. We all want to enjoy the day, and we want the people that we're with to enjoy the day, so whatever that looks like. So if you like the traditional turkey, Brussels sprouts, if you can cope with them, go for it. And if it's not your thing, then that's great. And it's just about working out what's right for you. So absolutely.
Yeah. You know, the traditional would be your turkey, your gravy, your veg, but actually for some, things like pizza is what they need on that particular day, and that's what makes it special for them. You know, so it's understanding, I guess, the needs of the individual and son or daughter. I'm also seeing that there's a number of comments on the event just now about school specifically, and it's kind of veering away from our festive period conversation. Obviously, what I'm going to do is maybe leave some of those, but what we will do at the end of the event is actually go through those comments and respond to those. So Mary, and there is somebody else that's commented as well, but I can't find the comment just now, but I have noticed it. And we will kind of go through those and answer those, or if you want to private messages on the Facebook page, we can obviously take your email address or phone number, and either myself, Jackie, or another member of the communities team can obviously make contact with you to answer those. Some of it being specifically around support in school, and some of it around kind of classmates and peers kind of having a greater understanding. So we'll answer those when we can. Jackie, obviously in terms of I guess the Christmas period, and we have spoken about it from a sensory perspective, you know, all the decorations, the food, the kind of hustle and bustle of family gatherings. I'm wondering, you know, what else can be quite stressful at this time of year for individuals?
Well, again, as you say, you know, it's just sometimes it's the change, and even changes within the house. So, you know, for 11 months of the year, you've got certain pieces of furniture in certain positions, and then they move, and a Christmas tree is put in place, and that can be unsettling for someone who's, you know, who really likes things to be in a certain way. So if you're putting decorations up, then, you know, include as many, you know, the whole family, so that everybody's part of that and everybody's aware of where things are and where things are moved to. And also you can have, you know, countdowns are really good. So countdowns to different events can help to prepare for them. But also after Christmas, you can have a countdown to the decorations going away and that normality returning, and to starting to put the routines back in place, whether it's around bedtime, whether it's around, you know, sort of, you know, activities starting as they would have done. And even I think going back to the idea of having you know, pizza for Christmas dinner, that can be quite nice when the rest of the day can be very excitable for people. So opening presents can be great, but there's also an expectation of, you know, what am I going to get in this, which can be quite stressful for some people. Some people don't like wrapping paper. You know, so it's, you know, there's a lot going on in the day. So I think, you know, actually what Terry's done, putting something that's part of the family routine or part of what everybody's comfortable with back into the day can be really good at helping to, you know, just bring things back a wee bit in terms of the stress.
And you talked about obviously the importance of maintaining kind of some routine to support, I guess, people throughout the festive period. And I guess, you know, you mentioned sleep. So I guess from that is, you know, trying to keep, I guess, bedtime and kind of getting up in the morning a similar sort of time for people to kind of keep that routine. But I'm just wondering, how else can we support routine throughout the festive period?
I guess it's considering what things have to change and what things don't have to change. So you can still have that breakfast routine. So breakfast can look the same even if some of the activities throughout the day change. You can still, even if bedtime is pushed back a little bit because you are out visiting or other things are happening, but if actually the way that routine looks is maintained the same, then that can at least give that that familiarity and help to sort of, yep, I know the steps to bedtime. And then once we've done this part, once I've had my story or whatever it is, we go to sleep. And as I say, just, trying to keep some aspects the same. We do have, sort of resources and things on our website, again, that can help with maintaining routines. It's all part of our wellbeing resources. So it's worth having a look at those if that's something that people would like to access.
Definitely, yeah. We do have those resources, Jackie, which talks about that maintaining routine, but also kind of well-being overall, and how stress can present for people differently, and how you can go about supporting some of that. So yeah, definitely. Again, I hope the team will kind of pop those into the comments for people to refer to over the Christmas period. Terry's actually come back to us. And she's commented to say it's completely overloading for our kids as it is. November is our daughter's birthday, and December is Christmas, so it's all quite close together, and then you have New Year. So she's overloaded enough with those events, and the food can stay regular, and if she can help a child be a little less sensorized and less struggling, she's going to do it. And quite right, Terry. She does say that they put their Christmas tree decorations up on the 28th of November every year, and they go away on the 5th of January. So again, there's that bit of routine that kind of is brought in there, which is obviously what works for Terry and her daughter and their family. But obviously what works for one family might be very different for another due to the varying experiences for people.
Yeah, and I think that's good to remember, that you don't have to follow what everybody else is doing. It's what's right for you and your family, and just that's what's going to keep things less stressful for them. And I think as well, just another thing in terms of the well-being that I was aware of, or I was thinking about, is our alert cards as well. So if you are out and about, using the alert cards and perhaps contacting people if you've got to go to the pantomime or something like that, is sort of, again, you can ask for assistance if that's required. If queuing's difficult for people, then by all means contact, say, the box office or wherever you're going to, and just saying, is there a way to make this a little bit easier for my child so that they can enjoy it, but it doesn't become overwhelming for them.
Yeah, because queues at this time of year become quite lengthy, with everyone going out doing their last minute bits and pieces, but then obviously the pantomimes are generally quite busy at this time of year as well, because it's an enjoyable activity for many families to come together, as well as work. I know of work Christmas parties that have gone to pantomimes this year. It's like you say, getting in touch in advance where you can to kind of remove that queuing and waiting if that's going to be the difficult aspect to go along to those types of things. And definitely we do have the alert card as well, like you say, if for example you are out and about and things do become too much and overwhelming due to the hustle and bustle that is the festive period. Definitely. Terry's kind of made a further comment just to say that she's grown up in a household with autism and ADHD. So childhood household was very different for my older siblings. And I guess that's where Terry's kind of part of being mum to her daughter has come from, in terms of obviously, adapting what Christmas looks like. And like you say, there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that if it makes it less stressful for families and the individual. And it's important to find out from the individual what it is that they do find stressful about this time of year, so you can make those adaptations. Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah.
Well, obviously, like I said, there are some comments in the live event today, but what we'll do is, because they're not quite on the festive kind of topic of conversation, we will respond to those separately. We haven't forgotten about you. But I guess, we're coming to the end of an event now. We've got the festive period coming. Hopefully some of our conversation has helped, and hopefully some of the resources that we've referred to will be helpful to families, I guess, when it draws closer. At the moment, I think people are still probably dealing with day to day, shall we say. So thank you everyone who's joined us for the live event today, and thank you Jackie for joining me. Please remember, anyone that's watching, that you can access the advice line, where you may find actually that you're speaking to either Jackie or myself, or directly to another member of the communities team. The advice line is actually open from 10 till 4, Tuesday to Friday, and we can be contacted by phone, email or live chat. We'll post the details of all of that within the comments of this live event today. Obviously, with the festive period approaching, the team will be taking a short break from the advice line, so it will be closed over the festive period from 4 p.m. on the 17th of December, and it will reopen at 10 a.m. on the 4th of January. I'm hoping I've got those dates right. However, if in the meantime you are looking for any kind of support during that festive period, because like I say, it can be stressful for everybody, we do have crisis information on our website, where it lists a number of crisis organisations that you can contact. But again, thank you everyone who's joined us today. Thank you for some of the comments that have come in. We've got a thank you, and we've been a great help today. So yeah, thank you again for everyone that's joined us. Keep an eye on our social media for events like today's for the new year. We haven't quite finalised the schedule yet, but we will release them when we've got them. And thank you again, Jackie. I hope, well, from the advice line, we wish everyone a lovely festive period that's enjoyable for them.